Tyro, no! The pack-led soldier begged the commander. Let us borrow the humans' weapons. Another pack-led warrior cried out in agony as a heavy-caliber human bullet tore through his torso, totally bypassing his energy shield. The relentless hail of human ammunition ripped into the pack-led formations. Just hours ago, Commander Tyro openly mocked the primitive human guns carried by Will Howard and the other human soldiers of the United Earth Forces, stationed on the distant moon to provide security for the valuable mining operation. Tyro had laughed at the pea shooters, calling humans weak and technologically inferior. Will had gritted his teeth, but held his tongue in the face of the insults. The tension between the two species was palpable. Then, on a routine patrol, Will's squad was suddenly ambushed by Tyro's larger force. Outnumbered and outgunned by the pack-led's advanced plasma rifles and energy shields, the humans took heavy losses. Will watched his friends get cut down by the superior alien firepower. As the battle turned against them, Will ordered a retreat back to the mining complex. The pack-leds arrogantly pursued, assured of an easy victory. But inside the compound's armory, Will broke out the heavy firepower, automatic rifles, grenades, rockets launchers, even a massive anti-material railgun. Some of the surviving humans were skeptical that these weapons could turn the tide against the aliens' advanced tech. Trust me, Will urged them. We fight like our lives depend on it, because they do. They all knew if the mining operation failed, it would cripple Earth's colonies in the sector. The stakes couldn't be higher. Now, as the pack-leds launched their final assault to wipe out the humans, Will and his soldiers unleashed a hellish barrage of high-velocity rounds, rockets, and high-caliber shells. To the aliens' shock, their energy shields flickered and died under the sheer kinetic impacts. Pack-led armor was shredded by the heavy slugs. Tyro watched in disbelief as his warriors fell in droves. The humans' primitive weapons were brutally effective. The desperate humans pressed the counterattack with ferocious intensity, turning despair into fatal resolve as they fought tooth and nail for their survival. Explosions and gunfire filled the corridor as the battle raged on, with no end in sight. Will huddled with the surviving human defenders in the shattered remnants of the mining complex. Smoke choked the air, and the acrid stench of burnt metal seared his nostrils. He wiped the blood and grime from his face, his fingers trembling from the adrenaline still surging through his veins. Reload everything we've got left, he barked at his battered squad. Grab ammo, rockets, grenades, anything not bolted down. They'll hit us again any minute now. The soldiers hastily rearmed, slamming fresh mags into rifles and hefting rocket launchers onto weary shoulders. Will knew they couldn't hold out much longer against the unending pack-led assault, but they would make the bastards bleed for every inch. A cacophony of guttural war cries suddenly erupted outside the perimeter. Will's blood ran cold. He recognized that sound, that cadence. It was Tyro, whipping his warriors into a blood frenzy for one last all-out attack. Here they come, Will yelled. Make every shot count. The pack-led surged forward in a massive wave, heedless of the withering wall of lead that scythed through their ranks. Armor-piercing rounds cracked through alien armor and high-explosive rockets blasted charred holes in the charging horde. Pack-led bodies piled up in gory mounds, but still they came on. Will's finger ached on the trigger of his machine gun as he raked streams of fire across the enemy front. Barrels glowed red-hot and stinging cordite filled the air. Slowly, inevitably, the weight of human firepower began to take its grim toll. Pack-led numbers dwindled as the relentless fusillade cut them down in droves. But even as the attack faltered, Will heard the ominous whine of approaching dropships. Tyro was calling in reinforcements from orbit. If they arrived now, the human defenses would be steamrolled under an avalanche of fresh pack-led troops. Fuck this, Will snarled. Counterattack! Bellowing war cries of their own, the humans vaulted over the barricades and slammed into the pack-led's exposed flank. Grenade launchers thumped and machine guns roared as they blasted their way into the alien rear. The pack-leds buckled under the unexpected assault, their siege collapsing into chaos. In the swirling madness of hand-to-hand combat, Will suddenly found himself face to face with Commander Tyro. The alien loomed over him, plasma rifle leveled at his chest. Will snapped his own weapon up, and they froze in a deadly standoff. Tyro sneered through jagged teeth. You fight like cornered vermin, human, but you only delay the inevitable. When the Empire descends on your pathetic Earth, your guns will be worthless. It's not about the weapons, Will shot back. It's the purpose of those who wield them. He squeezed the trigger, and a burst of lead stitched across Tyro's chest, exploding out his back in a shower of gore. The Pakled commander crumpled, and Will leapt over his body, waving his troops forward. Drive them back, no mercy. The humans fell on the already reeling Pakleds like wolves among sheep. The aliens broke and fled in a total rout. Pakled dropships swooped in to evacuate the panicked survivors as the humans' punishing fire chased them from the field. Ragged cheers went up from the human ranks as the last dropship fled for orbit. Will allowed himself a tight smile. They had won the battle, but the war was just beginning. He grimly surveyed the burning battlefield, littered with Pakled dead. The price had been high and the mining outpost was lost, but they had bought Earth precious time. Time to prepare for the Pakled's inevitable return. As Will organized the battered remnants of his force to pull out, a furtive noise drew his attention. He whirled, weapon at the ready, to see a lone Pakled prisoner emerging from the rubble, its arms raised. Will advanced cautiously. He had a sudden flash of inspiration. You speak English? He demanded. Yes, the alien stammered out. You heard that we beat your forces today with our weapons, but it won't be enough when your Empire's armada comes for us. The Pakled prisoner nodded fearfully. I want your military secrets, Will said. Everything you know. Technology, tactics, fleet compositions. Give me that and I'll grant you asylum on Earth. The alien blinked in shock. The magnitude of the human's request was staggering. Betraying the Empire would mean death if discovered. But what choice did it have? I accept, the Pakled said quietly. Will nodded. Some would call this treason, but if this turncoat's secrets could advance human weaponry to resist the Pakleds, it would be worth it. The survival of the human race hung in the balance, and Will would do whatever it took to ensure that humanity prevailed, regardless of the cost. Will Howard stepped off the transport ship onto Earth soil, his eyes scanning the crowd of officials and reporters gathered to greet him. The Pakled prisoner, Thokin, shuffled behind him in restraints. Captain Howard, welcome home, a gruff general bellowed, shaking Will's hand firmly. We've heard reports of your victory, but... Sir, we don't have time for pleasantries, Will cut in urgently. The Pakleds are coming. Their full invasion force will be here within months, maybe weeks. We need to prepare now. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. An aide whispered something to the general, who frowned deeply. Captain, perhaps we should discuss this in private, the general said, eyeing Thokin warily. Hours later, Will found himself in a secure briefing room facing a panel of skeptical military and civilian leaders. He laid out everything. The Pakled's technological edge, their vast numbers, and their bloodthirsty desire for conquest. With all due respect, Captain, a decorated admiral spoke up, one lucky victory doesn't mean Earth is facing an existential threat. We have no evidence to support... That's where you're wrong, sir, Will interrupted. He gestured to Thokin, who stood silently in the corner. This Pakled defector has agreed to share vital intelligence on their military capabilities, but only in exchange for asylum. The room erupted in heated debate. Will's fists clenched as he listened to the arguments flying back and forth. We can't trust an alien. It could be a trap. The political fallout alone. Will slammed his hand on the table. Enough. While we sit here arguing, the Pakleds are preparing to wipe us out. Thokin is our only chance. After tense negotiations, the leadership reluctantly agreed to grant Thokin provisional asylum. But the Pakled remained tight-lipped, refusing to divulge any real information. Will spent days trying to convince Thokin to cooperate. Finally, in a moment of frustration, he snapped. Don't you get it? Will shouted. If you don't help us, your people will slaughter mine. Is that what you want? To have the deaths of billions on your conscience? Something in Thokin's eyes changed. Slowly, haltingly, he began to talk. Over the next weeks, Thokin revealed the secrets of Pac-led technology, the inner workings of their energy shields, the power sources for their plasma weapons, the alloys in their armor. Earth's top scientists and engineers worked around the clock, reverse engineering designs and adapting them for human use. But Thokin's most valuable intelligence came in the form of Pac-led military doctrine. He exposed critical flaws in their tactics, born from generations of technological superiority. Pac-leds rely too much on brute force, Thokin explained during a strategy session. They expect enemies to break quickly under superior firepower. When that fails, they struggle to adapt. Human commanders pored over the information, devising new battle plans to exploit these weaknesses. Will found himself at the center of it all, helping to shape Earth's defense strategy. Months passed in a blur of preparation. New weapons began rolling off assembly lines. Sleek plasma rifles, personal energy shields, even prototype antimatter warheads. Will personally oversaw the training of an elite strike force, drilling them relentlessly in anti-Pac-led tactics. The first test came sooner than expected. Pac-led scout ships detected unusual activity on Earth and moved to investigate. What they found shocked them to their core. Earth's defenders met the Pac-led landing parties with a hail of armor-piercing railgun fire that shredded their energy shields. Concentrated bursts from reverse-engineered plasma weapons cut through Pac-led armor seamlessly. Will led his troops from the front, striking hard and fast before melting away. The Pac-leds found themselves constantly wrong-footed, unable to bring their superior numbers to bear against the nimble human forces. As the battles raged across multiple worlds, Will's strike teams wreaked havoc on Pac-led supply lines and command structures. Thokin's inside knowledge proved invaluable, allowing the humans to hit the invaders where it hurt most. After weeks of brutal fighting, the Pac-led invasion force was in tatters. But Will knew this was only the beginning. Reports from deep space sensors confirmed his worst fears. An immense Pac-led armada was assembling, poised to unleash utter devastation on Earth. In a hardened bunker deep beneath the Earth's surface, Will gathered his top lieutenants. They pored over tactical displays, fine-tuning their defenses for the coming storm. "This is it," Will said grimly. "Everything we've done has led to this moment. We've bloodied their nose, but now they're coming at us with everything they've got." He looked each of his soldiers in the eye. "We're humanity's last line of defense. If we fall, Earth falls. Are you ready?" A chorus of determined voices answered him. Will allowed himself a small smile. They were as ready as they could be. Now all that remained was to meet the Pac-led onslaught head-on and pray it would be enough. Enough. The sky lit up with blinding flashes as the Pac-led armada unleashed hell from orbit. Streams of antimatter warheads and searing lance fire rained down on Earth's cities and fortifications. The ground shook violently as explosions bloomed across the landscape, vaporizing entire city blocks in an instant. Will Howard gritted his teeth as he watched the apocalyptic bombardment from a hardened command bunker. Millions were dying in those first terrible minutes, but humanity would endure. "Shields holding?" he barked into his comms. "Barely, sir," came the strained reply, "but they're taking the brunt of it." Will nodded grimly. Thokin's intel on Pac-led shield tech had been crucial. Without those reverse-engineered defenses, Earth would already be a smoldering ruin. Supreme Commander Scarva's gloating voice blared over all frequencies. "Pathetic humans, surrender now, and I may spare what's left of your miserable species." Will snarled and jabbed the broadcast button. "Go fuck yourself, Scarva. We're just getting started." He turned to his tactical display, watching as swarms of Pac-led transports and dropships began their descent. "All batteries, open fire! Take those bastards down!" Human railguns and plasma cannons roared to life, spitting hypervelocity slugs and coherent energy bolts into the sky. Pac-led ships exploded in brilliant fireballs or spiraled out of control, trailing smoke and debris. But many, made it through. As the first alien boots hit dirt, Will's troops sprang into action. Plasma rifles crackled and armor-piercing rounds shrieked through the air. Pakled warriors fell by the dozens, their energy shields flickering and failing under the human onslaught. "Push them back," Will shouted, leading a counterattack to overrun a Pakled landing zone. His troops moved with practiced precision, exploiting every weakness Thokin had revealed. Pakled commanders floundered, unable to adapt to human tactics that seemed to anticipate their every move. On a dozen worlds, the scene repeated itself. Humanity's defenders stood firm against the alien tide, extracting a fearsome toll for every inch of ground. But the Pakled Empire was vast, and Scarva was far from beaten. Fresh waves of troops and vehicles poured from the skies in a relentless stream. The human lines bent, but did not break, even as the casualties mounted. On the lunar colony of Arcia, Will found himself in the thick of the heaviest fighting. A sea of Pakled tanks advanced across the regolith, their plasma cannons spitting death. Human infantry took cover in hastily dug trenches and craters, grimly holding the line. "Concentrate fire on their lead elements," Will bellowed over the din of battle. "Don't let them mass for a breakthrough." Disciplined volleys from human railguns and heavy weapons tore into the Pakled formation. Alien war machines exploded or ground to a halt, their crews vaporized by armor-piercing rounds. The battle raged on, with neither side willing to yield. Will knew the fate of Earth hung in the balance. They had to hold. They had to win. The alternative was extinction. The lunar surface of Arcia erupted in chaos as Will Howard's forces fought for survival. Plasma bolts seared the regolith, turning it to glass as Pakled tanks advanced relentlessly. Will crouched behind a makeshift barricade, his face streaked with grime and sweat. "Hold the line," he shouted over the din of battle. "Don't let them break through." A young soldier next to him screamed as a plasma bolt punched through his chest. Will dragged him to cover, but it was too late. All around, his troops were falling. Supreme Commander Scarva's voice boomed across the battlefield. "Crush them! Show no mercy to these primitive vermin!" Will gritted his teeth. They couldn't hold out much longer. He keyed his comm. "All units, prepare for breakout. We're punching through their lines." He rallied his surviving troops, gathering what remained of their armor. As plasma fire rained down, Will climbed into the lead tank. "On my mark," he ordered. 3, 2, 1, go! The human armored columns surged forward, engines roaring. They smashed into the Pakled lines like a battering ram. At point-blank range, tank guns thundered. Hypervelocity slugs tore through Pakled armor. Energy weapons sliced alien war machines in half. But the Pakleds gave as good as they got. Will's tank rocked as a plasma bolt struck its flank. The air filled with the screech of twisting metal. "Keep pushing," Will yelled. "We're almost through." Something hot and sharp sliced across Will's face. Blood trickled into his eyes. He blinked it away, focusing on the battle. Finally, they broke through. But victory was short-lived. As Will's battered forces raced across open ground, Scarva's elites gave chase. "Activate the minefields," Will ordered. The world went white as antimatter warheads detonated. The shockwave nearly flipped Will's tank. When his vision cleared, a vast radioactive wasteland separated them from the stunned Pakleds. Will's survivors limped to the nearest human fortification. As medics tended his wounds, he watched Scarva's forces regroup in the distance. This battle was over, but the war was far from won. Hours later, Will stood atop the fortress walls. A comm officer approached. "Sir, Scarva is broadcasting on all frequencies. He's executed Thokin." Will's fists clenched. He'd known the risk when he'd accepted Thokin's defection. Now the alien had paid the ultimate price. Scarva's face appeared on a nearby view screen. "Your pet traitor is dead, human. Tell me where the superweapons are hidden or you'll be next." Will stared into those alien eyes, cold fury building inside him. He thought of Earth, of all humanity had sacrificed, of Thokin's final betrayal and high-stakes endeavor. Listen carefully, Scarva, Will said, his voice low and dangerous. Those weapons are already deployed. Automated drones, primed to strike your homeworlds if I'm killed or captured. You have one choice. Withdraw your entire invasion force or watch your empire burn. Scarva's eyes widened in shock. You're bluffing! Try me, Will snarled. You have 1 hour to begin your retreat. He cut the transmission, praying his desperate bluff would work. For now, all they could do was wait, and hope humanity's courage would prove stronger than pack-led cruelty.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.